Hey, good morning. Once again, we welcome you to this. It's funny. I just caught myself. I almost said impeachment day. It's not impeachment day.
No, it's inauguration day.
Another I word, inauguration day edition of the Exiles, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, the inauguration of the 46th President of the United States, and why 45 isn't there, and things like that throughout the program today. But first, big news for television viewers in Baton Rouge.
Whoa, I was surprised about this one. Pat Shingleton will be delivering his final on-air broadcast as a weathercaster Friday,
Like
January 29th at 6 p.m.
the 29th. So
29th.
A week and 2 days.
Yeah. He said that he's going to remain with WBRZ, where he has been for 40 years.
Yes, long time.
He's going to remain with WBRZ as a community outreach person for them.
Okay.
And he will probably do some weather if somebody needs to take a day off or if there's a big weather emergency. But the day-to-day weathercasting role of Pat Shingleton, the chief forecaster, is going to be at its end in basically 9 days. That's after 40 years.
Makes you feel old, though, doesn't it? When we were talking about this before the show rolled, is how many of the Baton Rouge has had some truly great television personalities, and as you see them all retire one by one, some because they have to, some because they just like George Sells, who just after a long and distinguished career, not just in Baton Rouge but in major markets across Louisiana, George decided he just was going to step down from the news desk. Pat probably could have continued to do this for as long as he wanted to do it.
Well, Pat is no spring chicken, by the way.
No, but I watched one of his newscasts just recently, and he's still on the mark. He knows the job. Pat's not. It's not like other people say, well, he's getting a little bit rusty and that kind of thing. Pat is right on the money.
Yeah. Dr. Josh Eachus will take over the 4 and the 6.
Good choice.
Which Pat had been doing upon his retirement. He is going to continue his charity events, like Pat's Fill a Prescription for the Needy.
Coats for Kids.
Pat's Coats for Kids. And the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, which, by the way, he and a couple of other folks invented.
He and his brother.
He and his brother, and a couple other people, too, that were involved in that as well.
And it is, without a doubt, the premier St. Patrick's Day event in the capital area. And I know people who travel from outside of Baton Rouge to come here for the wearing of the Green Parade. No word yet on whether or not we'll have one this year or not. But I remember Pat from way back when. We're going back 35 years to remember when Pat hosted a local game show.
That was his only clunker.
We Play Baton Rouge. And he also had a talk show, Hotline After Dark.
See, I missed that one completely. I didn't know that one.
I was unaware of it. I would love to see some videotape of it if anybody's got any.
Oh, I'm sure they've got some. They don't throw anything away at Channel 2.
We Play Baton Rouge, I thought, was a very clever and well thought out game show. And at one time, a colleague of mine in my first year in broadcasting went from, this was in Hammond, but he went into Baton Rouge to appear on We Play Baton Rouge. And when he came back from the show, he had like 6 remember the bricks?
Yeah,
the foam rubber.
The foam, yeah, the Nerf bricks.
Yep, and he had several bricks. And he's like, do you want a We Play Baton Rouge brick? It's like, well, of course I do. And somewhere, Bill, in my house, in one of those boxes of stuff, in a closet somewhere, I still have my We Play Baton Rouge brick.
You're liable to reach in there and get dust, because that Nerf does not weather well
yeah,
over
it doesn't,
long periods of time.
Dry rot sets in eventually. But I've still got it in there somewhere if it's not turned into mush.
40 years, and I mean, when he started, they had chroma key blue. Weather forecasters are standing in front of a blank painted wall, and they're doing it like this, and they're watching a monitor over there to see where their hand should go. Yep. And so he went to, digital green screen.
Very difficult, by the way. I tried that one time when I was working for a radio station at Channel 33 on Essen Lane, and the weather person said, "Step up, give it a try." Very difficult.
It is not easy to do. I will say that Pat was a great performer that found a home in the weather department at WBRZ. Now, most people don't remember, he started at WAFB. He was there first.
I remember way back in the 80s, there was a big talent flip-flop.
Yeah, Jay Young and Pat.
Yep, exactly. The Channel 2 talent went to 9, the Channel 9 talent went to 2. There's a huge ratings war between those two going on.
But if anybody could be said to have grabbed a piece of that television station for their own and will be forever inextricably joined, I think of a few names, and they all work together. I think of Ed Buggs. I think of Andrea Plessy.
John Mahaffey.
I think of John Mahaffey. And I think of Pat Shingleton.
That was a powerhouse lineup over there.
They grabbed a piece of Channel 2. They were Channel 2, and Channel 2 was them forever to be conjoined. And that is something, I have been doing this since 1973 when I was in college. I was taking a paycheck for talking on the radio when I was still in college. I have been doing this for a long time, and I have never seen the likes of this in my life.
Well,
probably never will again.
He will be sorely missed. No doubt Channel 2 will go on without him, as they will have to. But I think it'll be a while. People will, even though Josh Eachus is great at what he does, people are just going to miss seeing Pat Shingleton.
But, and again, hearing from him, he's saying, look, he said, I've been doing it for 40 years. I really want to spend time with a growing family. He's got a 1-year-old grandchild. I'm sure he's probably going to have some more, it's another chapter, and he'll still, be able to do the things that brought him so much joy. When we got traded in for a taco stand, it's true I missed doing the radio show, but I think I missed more doing all the public service events that we got to do because of that radio show.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of people ask us to MC. Of course, there haven't been events this last year to MC.
But Pat, you could see he enjoyed the Pat's Coats for Kid, that it meant something to him.
Yep.
You could see he enjoyed the Fill a Prescription for the Needy. You could see that it meant a lot to him. So he's going to continue to do that.
Well, God bless Pat Shingleton after 40 years of service at WBRZ. Stepping down, and take a rest, man. You deserve it.
Pat, you've done a great job. You know what, Pat? You were always watchable. You were as watchable on your worst day as you were on your best day, and that says a lot.
And by the way, your son Michael, chip off the old block.
Michael's good.
He's really good.
He is really good.
I saw when he was a Capitol reporter years ago, I saw a lot of promise in him. I said he's going to be every bit as good as his dad. We're going to take our first break of the hour. We'll be back in just moments. This is Exiles TV.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Look up to the skies, I see the
welcome back. It's Exiles TV here on Inauguration Day. Things are starting to get underway, by the way. President-elect Biden will be sworn in soon. Been watching on the TV monitors here that we have in the studio with us. The Obamas have shown up. Some other former presidents have shown up.
George and Laura are there.
George and Laura
Always
are there.
a party when George and Laura are there.
I don't think we need to, you need to ask the question or whether or not you think that Donald and Melania Trump, they will not be there.
No, they're not going to be there.
I think that at this point, Mr. Trump would like to drop his trowel and show us all his keister, and maybe rightly so. I know that, forget the election and forget the allegations of the election. Do you ever recall a president as badgered and hated on during his 4 years in office as this president?
Jimmy Carter, but it was done in a classier way.
Yeah, and I'm gonna indict the news media on this because they did not do it in a classy way. They did it in a very
sometimes,
crappy...
Kevin, just consider this. Sometimes the rules of engagement are set by the target.
Well, what they didn't like about him is he is brutally honest sometimes.
He's also crude.
And he's very crude. And we've had presidents that were crude before, but not in a 24-hour news cycle where you got to hear everything
private, Nixon could cuss like a sailor.
And not always in private. LBJ comes to mind. Not always in private, but quite often crude when it was a small, limited audience. And if it were like one or two people heard him say it, if they repeated it, he'd just say, BS, I didn't say that.
Yeah, but the rules of engagement are often set by one party. Mr. Trump's use of the language was not exactly Oxford standard. Okay?
Well, let's see. He called third world nations S-holes. That was one people took a lot of, except those of us that went, well, okay, maybe it's unseemly for a president to use that expression, but they are.
Well, but see, you're assuming that everybody thinks that they are. Or they think.
Well, I'm sure people that live there. Well, the thing is, obviously, some of the people that live in these countries think they are, or they wouldn't be clamoring to get into the U.S.
Well, they're clamoring to get in the U.S. because they don't like living there.
Free stuff. They don't like living there. Why?
Well, but there are people who.
Because it's a.
Well, I think it is. But the thing is, you cannot have a head of state saying things like that.
Exactly.
It's stupid, it's mean-spirited, it is counterproductive.
My mother is very even-tempered and fair-minded. And I like to think that she brought me up with a little of that, although I've gotten away from the ranch. But what she said is, a president needs to be presidential.
Well,
and he's not. He's not at all presidential.
You know how I parse the words of people in the news media, because I do think that using the language properly is very important if you have a microphone or a camera or both. Now it's gotten into print media, where sentence structure is bad, words are not the proper word or the proper context for the word. You juxtapose the subject-verb agreement. The thing is, when you are at the head of a world power nation and you use things like calling a woman, and you know what? I don't have a problem if he wants to insult this woman because she's in the game, okay? So she's fair game.
Which woman? He insulted several.
The one he called a dog, okay? You can sit there and say,
that was Carly Fiorina. She was a candidate for president.
Yeah.
He kind of alluded to her not being attractive during one of the presidential debates.
Well,
he didn't come right out and call her a dog.
No, there was one. It wasn't.
But it was just look at that face.
Yeah, there was one that he called an absolute dog. It's a quote. The thing is, if you do that, your words are whistling up something you don't want following you. If you look over your shoulder, you're going to say, oh, I don't want that following me. How many people do you know? I can think of a couple of people that worked in Guarantee that said, I'm going to vote for this guy because he's an a-hole.
We had a former producer who felt that way.
They got that because of his language. And he never looked over his back and said, oh, I don't know if I want that following me that closely. The thing is,
there are people that loved him because he was so blunt, and people that despise him because he's so blunt.
George Bush was blunt.
Which one? 41 or 43?
43 was blunt. When he said, hey, I'm the decider, he was blunt. He wasn't trying to namby-pamby around with all of these people.
But he wasn't tasteless.
He wasn't tasteless. He wasn't vulgar. And he knew that if he worded it differently, he would attract a different type of attention for the wrong reasons, and therefore he didn't do it. I mean, George W. was a party animal. He had been there, done that, gotten the T-shirt. Everything he did in his life at some point or another, he got disciplined for it. You know, he made one of those Top Gun low passes in F-106 and broke windows just to see if he could do it. You know, and he paid a price. But once he got into the Oval Office, and when there was something like that was going to be contentious, he was blunt. He said, I am the decider. He looked him right in the eye. Good advisors that were trying to give their best advice and were badgering him with it a little too much, and he was blunt. He didn't say, you're all bleep, 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 bleeps, and you don't know bleep from bleep, and you can't find your bleep with your elbow, okay? He didn't do that, because he knew that was counterproductive, it was intentionally rude, and you don't want that following you. You know,
Trump, however, didn't care.
Yeah.
Because Trump will, sure, you could say what you want about, his disgraced presidency, blah, 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 but Donald Trump was, before he was president, he was a multi-billionaire. And tomorrow, he'll be a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
And I think he's the kind of guy, I don't know that his ego is so large that he won't just let this roll off his back and just carry on, wayward son.
I think his ego has been harmed a great deal. But again, you also have to look at the environment, okay? He was raised in a bubble, and his bubble was, it's always combat. You know, the commercial real estate business in Manhattan is combat.
And cutthroat.
Yeah, you can't walk away from that. It's always, as someone once said, and I agree, it's always a transactional relationship with him. What do I get from this? Now, George W. grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth as well. But that silver spoon had a very long handle to George H.W. And he said, I'm going to set you up in the oil business that I originally set up, and I'm going to stake you this much. And if you step out of line one time, I'm going to pull it back. So there's a bit of a difference. And again, George H.W. was raised in a very genteel, never let the sharks see you bleed type of environment. And he tried to pass that on to his sons. Now, George W. didn't get all of it, but got most of it. But yeah, he could be very blunt too.
But he also could be extremely charming.
Because he also thought, George W., and again, I think he was a pretty good president. But what he was good at was showing you at the first meeting that he held the carrot and the stick. You were never going to be surprised by this guy. You were never going to be blindsided by this guy. He was a lot more Reagan-esque than his father, who was Reagan's vice president, in my opinion. And he also had a world tragedy that happened within 8.5 months of him taking the oath of office.
Well, it's getting his... when it comes down to the inauguration, time's up for Trump to do any more pardons or clemency, right? He had until midnight last night.
He's got up until 11:59 today, Eastern time.
Tonight or?
This morning.
So he's got until noon.
Yeah, he's got basically 40 minutes.
40 minutes. The list is long already. We're going to maybe go into some of the people who have been given pardons and clemency. Steve Bannon did not surprise me. That's one of them. We're going to talk about that after we take a quick break. This is Exiles TV.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Segan Lane.
And so, as the story goes, oh, pardon me, Mr. President. Oh, who'd you steal from?
Yeah.
It's an old joke.
It's an old joke. I mean, especially at the end of a presidential term in Washington, when you bump into someone, you don't say "excuse me," you say "pardon me." Steve Bannon got his clemency. It's not a pardon, but he got clemency for his involvement in the Russia deal.
Okay, so they split the baby
Russiagate.
on that one. Mm-hmm. Because his top legal advisors were saying this is the one you do not want to do.
Yeah. So he didn't give him a pardon. The optics on that would have been bad. Although there was never a solid case with the Russia collusion established.
But it wasn't a matter of collusion. It was a matter of the
lying.
financing that went into it.
Bannon was making a lot of money on the side for sources he shouldn't have.
He was taking money.
But his clemency means that his conviction stands. He just no longer has to serve any more jail time.
He doesn't have to serve any more jail time.
Some of the names that the president's pardoned should come.
How about what was
as
it?
no surprise.
Who was a rapper? Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne got pardoned. Yeah.
What did he get pardoned for?
Lil Wayne was convicted in the state of Florida on weapons charges.
But he had to have a federal charge.
Dwayne Michael Carter.
There must have been a federal charge because he can't pardon people for state crimes.
No, he was convicted in Florida on federal weapons charges in a Florida federal court.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else did he pardon? A lot of the players in the investigation of a Russian collusion.
He pardoned Jared Kushner's dad.
Charles Kushner's been pardoned. That's stepfather-in-law, right? That's also Paul Manafort has been pardoned. Roger Stone has been pardoned.
Mike Flynn has been pardoned.
Michael Flynn, that was weeks ago. And Michael Flynn got railroaded. I think if anybody deserved a pardon, it was Michael Flynn.
I got to tell you something. If I can stop the list for a second. Ever since the Secretary of State, Jim Brown, here in Louisiana, got sent to Club Fed
for lying to the
FBI, and that's what Flynn got hit for.
He was set up to lie to the FBI, though.
Either way, what I'm saying is, I know it's on the books. I know they charge people with it. But I think that's kind of a CS charge because I have a right under the Constitution to not incriminate myself. So why don't I have a right, if the FBI is questioning me, to deny what they're questioning me about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that one's kind of CS.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to go on with the list. I mean, because it's lengthy, and some of the people are names that you frankly wouldn't recognize. I mean, presidents do this sometimes. They grant clemency or pardons to cases that are barely on the radar nationwide, but in a locality, people might be much more familiar with it. But they all have to be federal charges.
And by the way, they start getting requests at the White House from day one for people who will write or their attorneys will write. And many of these people are not known to the president. Mm-hmm. They will hear from a U.S. attorney that might have been involved in the case that says, looking back on this, I think the sentencing was a little harsh. Or they'll hear from that person's family or that person's attorney. Sometimes but I mean, it will start on day one. Mm-hmm. You start to get and in fact, under the Reagan presidency, he actually asked George H.W. and his staff to help filter through some of this, because Reagan did give a lot of clemency and pardons.
Mm-hmm. So what do we know about the incoming president so far, about what he has vowed to do? In my opinion, we know that Joe Biden doesn't like jobs or people to have jobs and bring home money. Now, one of the things he's vowed to do, because it's so morally wrong, is construction of the wall separating the U.S. from Mexico is going to stop immediately. That'll probably be one of the first things he does after he takes over the Oval Office, is stop work on the wall. Now, that all sounds great to people who think, oh, well, we are the world, we are the but a lot of people are working on that wall. A lot of people are bringing home money to their families.
Now, here's
from working on that wall.
Here's what's interesting.
And now they're going to be out of a job.
Here's what's interesting about this. The wall has been a great big conversation for a couple of years. General Services Administration put out a final report yesterday on where they are up until this point. There really hasn't been that much new wall construction.
456 miles of wall has been built.
But most of the construction work has been done on repairing what already existed, mm-hmm. and so that will continue.
Repairing is not entirely accurate. On taking down what already existed and putting up something much, much more efficient.
Well, repairing, renovating. I'm
bolstering, I think, is a good word.
I had the pleasure during one of my Washington, D.C. Broadcasts to interview the head of the Border Patrol Immigration Naturalization Service. And he said, here's the problem. If we build a 15-foot wall, they're going to get a 16-foot ladder. If we build a 20-foot wall, they're going to get a 22-foot ladder. And he looked at me and he said, you're a sensible person. He said, what stops this is a human presence that is not separated by half a mile or even 400 yards, where you ring your border with personnel that will stop this. He said, look at me. He said, do you think that somebody from Honduras that came all this way is going to say, oh my God, it's an 18 feet wall.
He said, well, let's turn around and go home.
Yeah, no. He said, 18 feet wall, we need to build a 19-foot ladder. He said, and
or
this
tunnel.
Is what's happening all the time.
Or
he
tunnel.
Said, the only real deterrent, but again, the wall was a campaign promise, just like, free health insurance, free medical care for everybody, that really can't be accomplished. But there are a lot of people that it resonates with because it sounds like a great idea.
Well, the one thing that I think is ignorant when people say, he said he was going to build a wall, he's going to make Mexico pay for it. Well, he didn't say Mexico's going to cut us a check. He said Mexico's going to pay for it. Then he went on, he forged a new trade deal that meant billions more in the U.S., mm-hmm. from billions more Mexican dollars coming into the U.S. via trade. And so in a sense, Mexico is paying for it.
Well, and I've never had a problem with that either. I think it was a pretty good business deal. But what I'm illustrating to you, Kevin, is whoever makes the promises, Trump, Biden, Obama, Carter. When you get down in the weeds on these promises, they are a lowest common denominator kind of promise because it's never as easy as they want you to think it is. But what they do get is they get a groundswell of people who don't take the time or have the resources to dig into what it actually takes to make it happen. That's why I thought that director, and I'm sorry I forget his name because he's a really, really smart guy, and he just retired like a year ago. That's why it was like, he looked at me and he's like, "You're not a dumbass, are you? If we build an 18-foot wall, they're going to build a 20-foot ladder." It's like, it's not as simple as it seems.
I'll go you one step better as far as a deterrent. You said an actual physical human presence at the border. I'm going to say no. What you don't need is, you do not need an actual physical human presence at the border. What you need is, you need spaced about 75, maybe 100 yards apart. You need a system of automatic 50 caliber machine guns. Okay? And they work off motion sensors. And anything bigger than, say, a 12-year-old sets off the motion sensor. And then for several miles as you're approaching the Mexican border, you put up signs saying, when you cross over into the USA, there are going to be motion sensor unmanned machine guns. And if you set off those motion sensors, they will open fire. It's on you. Turn around now. If you put people down there...
And where's your statute in law that's going to back that up?
There's no statute in law. I'm just telling you.
Illegal entry is not a death penalty offense in this country.
I'm just telling you, if people knew that they were taking a chance on getting a 50 caliber up their butt, and they knew that there was no person they could talk into or talk out of pulling the trigger, and it's not up to you, it's automatic.
Why don't you run for president? Because you're advocating something that could never happen on this universe or any other.
If you want to close a border, you've got to take drastic measures, or you just have to be okay with having a porous border.
Let me tell you what. They don't have as much border as we do, but they have about the same length as we have between, say, Nogales, Arizona, and El Paso, okay? About 400 miles. The Swiss border is impenetrable. And it is because they have a human presence at every possible crossing and a presence that just roams. And this is a country that arms every citizen with a fully automatic weapon. But it is people that make the difference. You can have all the automated systems or all the walls you want, and someone will find a way to defeat those.
By the way, while Democrats were arguing that a border wall is immoral, did you know that we spent hundreds of millions of dollars walling in 3/4 of the country of Jordan to protect them from their enemies? We walled them in. Now, why is it okay in Jordan, but it's not okay here?
Well, I don't think it is, but again, it doesn't matter. Our immigration problem doesn't have anything to do with the length or the size of the wall. Our immigration problem is we don't catch them.
Well, my point that I brought up the wall in general was people are going to be immediately put out of work who were counting on that work and that money to feed their families. Same thing with the Keystone XL pipeline that Biden has. It's just killing people that we have a pipeline for some reason. There's been no spill. There's been no environmental disaster. But yet they would rather that we continue to put oil and other hazardous materials on trains and run trains across the United States through populated areas.
Led on Keystone.
Sometimes you're hauling this stuff through neighborhoods, and that's okay. A pipeline is wrong, and we're going to immediately put all those pipeline workers.
But they're still working.
Those
contracts
still building.
Have been completed.
Biden is expected to cease work on the pipeline later today.
I want to see how he does that.
That was from Fox News yesterday.
Well, I want to see how he does that.
He signs an executive order saying, knock it off.
But I don't know that he can. The contract has already been let, and it's a valid contract.
Well, if he says he can do it, of course, it's Biden we're talking about, but he's already showing us he doesn't like for people to have jobs.
Well, that remains to be seen. Hey, we need to take a break. We'll be right back on Exiles TV. Stick around.
Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances. Your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Of all the auto brands on the road today, only one has been named the best auto brand for 6 straight years. That brand is Mazda. Come shop and save on the award-winning lineup of new Mazdas right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Hi, welcome back. It's Exiles TV. Glad to have you with us. Well, getting off of the inauguration, because frankly, my blood pressure can't take it.
Why does an inauguration bother your blood pressure?
It's just that the inevitability of it. You know, it's
Well, that shouldn't bother your blood pressure because it's inevitable.
We've handed the hen house over to the fox.
Well, there you are, looking for reasons to be angry. That's why your blood pressure is up.
Well, you know, I mean, I think plenty of us have got reasons to be angry on both sides of the political fence, my friend.
It hasn't happened yet, so why don't you just save it until you see what happens?
Yes, sir.
Seriously.
You betcha.
I don't want you to stroke out right here.
I'm thinking there are a lot of people out there looking at this television right now that feel exactly the way I do.
Do they?
Yeah, a lot. Now, we don't have 74 million people watching this program. We're lucky if we have 74. But there are a lot of people who feel exactly the way I do, that this election was a sham, and it was all because we don't like him. We have to get rid of him because we don't like him.
That's a legitimate reason to get rid of any politician.
He says mean thing, orange man bad. And everybody just immediately wants to overlook every accomplishment that the U.S. has made in the last 4 years.
Well, here's
and one of those, Bill, has been employment. More people are working today than were working 4 years ago. Jobs have returned. Manufacturing returned to the USA during the last 4 years.
Yep.
Now we got a guy who loves China. And if you don't think those jobs are going to right back, it may take a while because it's expensive to move, you know, but
here's the deal. Why don't you save your blood pressure now and wait till you see what happens? Because your blood pressure isn't going to change anything, is it?
I don't think that I don't think one needs to be psychic to figure out what's going to happen. This is going to be the Obama administration part 3.
Well, we don't know that yet.
And the Obama administration was economic disaster. It was an employment disaster.
What happened to you during the Obama administration that was bad?
What happened to me during the Obama administration? It was bad.
Well, how did it affect you personally?
Well, personally, taxes.
Your taxes were the same.
My taxes went up during the Obama administration. It was called Obamacare. It was the largest tax increase passed on the American people in the history of this country. My taxes went up. My you have to pay this went up drastically because I had to have an Obamacare compliant insurance policy that required, if I'm going to get medical care at all, it's got to come out of my pocket to the tune of some $2,500 before insurance kicks in.
Well, that's the insurance policy and their copay. See, my taxes actually went down during the Obama administration.
Well, I'm happy for you.
It wasn't huge. It was like $200-300.
I'm happy for you. When are you changing parties?
Well, I'm not changing parties. The point is, you're getting yourself...
There's some Republicans out there who would like to string you up right now.
Why?
Because. Whose side are you on?
I'm not on a side. I'm on the side of fact and truth and reason. Not innuendo, not suspicion, not speculation, not venting. Fact, truth, and practicality.
Do you know, there's fact and there's truth and there's practicality, and then there's the crap that really happens. We all know what happens. We all know what's going on.
If it really happens, it's a fact, isn't it?
If you have pulled a fast one on the American people, you haven't left evidence. You haven't left a trail of breadcrumbs that can lead to you going to prison. If you've done it properly, you've gotten clean away with it.
And how often does that really happen?
Well, I think it happened in November, my friend.
I don't think it did.
Oh, I think it did.
I think he just flat lost the election for exactly what you said. People didn't like him.
Dude.
And there are a lot of people that lose elections because people don't like him.
3 states in the middle of the night suspended the count while somebody went, all right, how many do we need to beat this guy? All right, let's add them in. Boom, 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 boom.
There's no evidence.
When have you ever heard of a state suspending its... There's no evidence because judges don't want to hear the evidence.
The judges asked for the evidence.
People are going saying, could we get a court date, please? We've got evidence.
In Pennsylvania, which you're speaking of, the judges asked Giuliani to bring the evidence. He said, we don't have it.
Pennsylvania is the most corrupt state in the country right now.
But see, again,
that's my home state.
That's all speculation. None of that is based on actual fact. That's somebody's butthurt feelings.
Well, I guess I'm just butthurt then. But I think that there are 70 million Americans that are butthurt just like me because they don't like the way this all went down.
Well, there are a lot of people that don't like the way elections go down. That doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to see me, crying or wailing or... Oh, and by the way, let's talk about what happened on the 6th. It was out of line, but it's not unprecedented. We've had people storm into the Capitol building before. That's happened. It happened during the Obama administration. Remember when people stormed the Supreme Court and were pounding on the doors of the Supreme Court because they didn't want an innocent man to be given a Supreme Court justice position because some people said he did something 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kind of crap, this is the kind of witch hunt type crap that we're going to be, faced with once again. And when they come for people like you and me who voice conservative opinion because they don't like what we're saying, then you might look at me someday down the road and go, Kevin, you might have been right. I know you think I'm an idiot, but...
Well, I don't think you're an idiot. I think that you're allowing yourself to get overwrought with facts not in evidence. And it's easy to do.
If we only ever deal with evidence and we don't ever look at the stuff that has not been examined, thoroughly examined.
But isn't that our system? Isn't that what our system requires, what the Constitution requires? Isn't that our system?
Since when did judges just refuse to hear a case?
They didn't refuse to hear it. They said you don't have evidence, so we can't hear it. There's a difference. See, you're picking and choosing from the phrases that were used. They asked Giuliani on the record, Mr. Giuliani, bring your evidence. I don't have any, Your Honor. Well, then I can't hear the case if you don't have any evidence.
What about all the election workers who had stories to tell? Were they just making it up?
One of them admitted he made it up. The other ones, they all interviewed. They were not willing to be sworn and give evidence, so they didn't.
Okay, what about what happened on the 6th of January?
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but do you think it was all a bunch of Trumpers? Or do you think
yes, I do.
Somebody got that ball rolling?
I think it was
every
all
Trump
Trumpers.
rally up until this point has been completely peaceful.
But
every Trump rally has been completely peaceful.
This was the one where they were told that they were going to have to fight like hell, and they did. I mean, there is no excusing this. There is no saying, that, the Democratic governor of Rhode Island organized this and had them all masquerade as Trumpers. Look at these people. They were all proud. They're saying, my president told me to do this.
At least 3 arrests that I've seen in the media in reliable news sources have been known Antifa, BLM supporters.
And you're going to have
so
some
we
of
know
those
that you had
just like to see the world burn, as you put it.
You had agents provocateur that went in there.
No, you don't know that.
The minute we start going through those doors, they'll follow us through the doors. They knew it. They knew it was going to happen.
But you don't know that, or if they're just there because they like breaking stuff and being mean. You know, that's the whole thing. All this projection, and again, I ask you as a reasonable person, do we not survive this country on the rule of Constitution, law, and evidence, and proof beyond a reasonable doubt? Is that not what we are all taught is what is specified in our Constitution that we wish to defend? Is there something I'm missing there?
Look, dude, I'm just telling you, you may have seen your last Republican president of the United States, and maybe the Republicans deserve that, but they found a way to snooker an election. They conjured up the votes that they needed in the dead of night. They conjured up the votes that they needed. But you're still saying
things that has nothing in evidence, no proof. Why would you do that?
The fact that, look, dude, like I said, okay, let's use the analogy. Do you believe Casey Anthony murdered her daughter? There was no evidence, there was no proof. She's been acquitted.
She may have.
She didn't do it. There's no evidence. There's no proof.
Well,
do you believe O.J. Simpson murdered his wife and Ronald Goldman?
Sure.
You do. Mm-hmm. Even though there was no evidence, there was no proof.
Well,
he was acquitted in a court of law. He didn't do it.
He was acquitted with jury nullification.
He was acquitted in a court of law. He didn't do it. See, things are not always as they seem on the surface. As a matter of fact, when we're talking about government, things are rarely as they seem on the surface.
I don't think that these people,
Marty, help me out here,
particularly in the Democrat Party, okay, they are not the most intellectual bunch on earth.
No, they're a bunch of nut jobs.
They are not the
but
smartest.
But some of them very clever nut jobs.
Hear me out. They are not the smartest tools in the drawer. All right? They're not the sharpest. So to actually perpetrate a conspiracy over several states, handling several hundreds of millions of items without leaving a paper trail of any kind, and with actually not having somebody crack under the pressure or be stupid and get caught, is beyond the realm of any kind of mathematical probability.
Well, I think that time will tell. I think we'll get 8 years of Biden-Harris, and I think actually we're going to have President Harris before we know it. And
let me tell you what.
When that woman's in charge, you watch what happens.
2 years from now in the midterms, you watch a shift in the Senate seats that are up. It's a third of them, and you watch a shift in the House of Representatives.
I can only hope that Congress shifts back to the right, just because I feel...
I don't think there's any way around it.
I've always felt there needs to be a system of checks and balances, and the opposition party needs to control at least one of the three at all times.
Well, that's up to the voters, and I think that's what's going to happen in the midterms, to tell you the truth. I think they're probably going to flip at least 30 seats in the House of Representatives.
And by the way, let me concede to you in the audience, you are right. I am speaking purely from emotions here. And that tells you, people like me, our emotions are torn ragged because we feel like we've been cheated. And I'm sorry, man, you don't always need to have facts and evidence to know when you've been snookered.
Well, you have to if you want to change something or overturn something or take some action. You do have to have facts and evidence.
What did John Kennedy call it? A rookie-do.
A rookie-do.
They pulled a major rookie-do. Now, I hope that guilty parties, because I don't think that this was the Democrat Party got together and had a meeting and said, we're going to do this and here's how we're going to do it. I think that different people in different states, in different positions to affect the outcome, did things.
Well, see, and that'll make it even
difficult,
and that makes them to conceal.
That makes them individual, but those individual villains may be caught and brought to justice. Yeah. I don't think it's going to overturn the presidency. I don't think it necessarily should.
I think you get too far down the road, you can't. But I think that makes it even harder to conceal. And if that comes out, and if they've got the facts, then those people should have the full weight of the law dropped on them.
Because if people conspired to cheat the election in their state, they are cheating the American way of government, and they're trying to dismantle the republic as it stands.
That's exactly right. That's why voter fraud should be a very serious crime, even if you are just a councilman in Baker who had 3 people use your address as their mailing address. That's still voter fraud, and it's still serious.
Yep.
We'll be back in a moment after a brief break. Yeah, then.
What do you say?
What I said.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
2021 the year of savings, and it starts right now at Team Toyota. Come get a new 21 Corolla for just $189 a month, or get a 20 Camry for just $19,995. It's a year full of savings starting right now, right here at Team Toyota.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. I know everybody's talking about the inauguration, transfer of power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want to talk about a local story real quickly. Here's a little.
Please change the subject.
Here's a
Get
little,
me off. Get me off of this.
Here's a little transfer of power that was unwilling. The head of the State Justice Department's Criminal Division, that is the Attorney General. The head of the Attorney General's Criminal Division is going to be disciplined, and it amounts to a $20,000 pay cut after he was investigated by the AG's office for concerning behavior. This was originally broken by Chris Nakamoto over at WBRZ. Patrick McGee is the gentleman's name. He runs the criminal division of the Attorney General's office, and he was on leave after a complaint about policy violations. An investigation found that McGee joked about firing employees and used profanity, sexual slang, and unprofessional comments in conversations or others with business at the AG's office. The people who witnessed some of this stuff, or who were the target of these comments, said that his behavior was offensive and made other people who were witnessing it uncomfortable. So here's the deal. This is a guy that makes some pretty good money. He will work 38 days without pay. Now remember, he was already on leave. That's $20,559 that he's forfeiting.
Wow.
All right?
Okay, so he was basically making $20K a month.
Well, no, it's 38 working days, so it's about a month and a half.
Okay, but still.
So he was making about $14,500 a month.
140,670 per
Yeah.
year. That's 140. That's his salary.
Yeah.
140,670 per year.
And he's going to have to attend training on emotional intelligence, workplace professionalism, conflict management, and leadership.
Excuse me. I don't know. Let's take leadership skills back out of it, but don't you think an attorney should already have those skills?
I would think.
I mean, you and I know some lawyers. They already have those skills, and they have them in spades.
Well, here's what's interesting. Because I've appointed you a seat on the airport commission, I've taken an annual course on sexual harassment and an annual course on ethics. Both of these are overseen by the Attorney General's office.
Certainly not by this guy.
I was sick that day. I got my excuse from my doctor. But I mean, it's like,
this
really?
is much ballyhooed hire for Attorney General Jeff Landry when he hired him in 2018. Everybody thought, it was great, this is a great job, great hire, great, But now this guy is. I'd love to hear some quotes.
I've seen some of them. They're not good.
Yeah.
They would make Donald Trump look like a choir boy.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Shame. Are we down to the last 30 seconds of our program?
We are.
Wow. That went by. It's amazing how time flies when you're fighting with your co-host.
No, we're not fighting. We're discussing.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Tomorrow, the boxing gloves come out. He's scrappy.
No, I'm crappy, cranky, something like that. Anyway, be well, and we will see you tomorrow. Clarence Buggs coming up next right here
Take
on
care.
the Pelicans.
God bless.